Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, the Yankees have overall good weekend up in Fenway, taking 2-3 against the Red Sox, but unfortunately, the Yankees have now slipped 4 games back in the AL East there. But, as we're saying, this is now the home stretch for the Yankees as the schedule will get much softer, albeit half the games are on the road there for the Yankees. At least have some glimmer of hope to still get the AL East title there. So we'll kind of look forward to the schedule of both the Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays, who unfortunately keep winning as well. So even if the Yankees have a good weekend, it's still hard when the Toronto does not lose enough games. So nevertheless, we'll look at the series as well as the rest of the regular season schedule up ahead for the Yankees. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And there's also the YouTube version of the show, updated weekly, maybe not as frequently here, but of course, you want to catch everything as well. Don't miss a beat. Make sure to go to YouTube, subscribe to Section 420 Talkin Yankees. So the Yankees, after salvaging that last game there against Detroit, preventing a sweep there, which again, Giancarlo Stanton says you can't get swept at home. He's right about that. Yankees on the road to Fenway. And this was an important series for the Yankees because you remember the last time these two teams locked up at Yankee Stadium was not good for the Yankees at all. I mean, it almost looked two different teams going in two different directions. There's fundamentals, the whole deal. The Yankees were just looking terrible there. They were able to prevent themselves, from getting swept by just taking that Sunday night game, an ESPN game. But you still didn't feel well. It still felt like a pit in the stomach that, if the Yankees might have been a game or a half game over the Red Sox that time, you still felt that it was just two teams far apart and going different directions. This weekend made you feel much, much better and a lot of sort of back to normal situations. First of all, you got two stellar starts to start off with. As mentioned, it was Luis Gil and Max Fried, both giving Yankees big quality starts, especially Luis Gil now. This is the second game in a row. He's gone a full 6 innings, so you see him building up the arm strength and being effective. And again, look, pitching in Fenway is not easy. He could be a little wild, a little erratic in Fenway Park. You put a couple of runners on the base and someone hits a double off the wall. Before you know, you look up, you're down 5-0. It's just a rough place to play. So for him to give you 6 shutout innings is quite remarkable. The Yankees taking that first game by a score of 4-1. And of course, back it up on the Saturday game there. You can see, again, yet another real good performance from Max Fried. Back in ace mode, which is you want to see as he maybe has 1 or 2 more starts to tune up as the Yankees again, one way or another, probably headed to the postseason. It would take quite an epic collapse to not even get a wild card there. But probably as we get more and more looking like it's probably going to have to be that top wild card spot just the way. I just don't know if there's enough games for the Yankees to make up. Again, they're 4 back in the AL East. But getting back to the Yankees there, a lot of good signs there. Of course, Judge, obviously, since the Trump, pep rallying the locker room, whether it had any effect or not. Judge hitting like 800 with 4 home runs in there. So he looks like he's starting to whip back and fish because even when he came back from his injury, he was still not really Judge yet. He wasn't hitting a lot of home runs, and now he's starting to hit home runs in bunches. So his bat's heating up as we close out the season. You like to see that. And even, didn't really get much fanfare. Me and Conan Bellinger in that Saturday game. Now, the Yankees were ahead a little bit. Now, Boston was climbing back. The Yankees got an early lead. And a good at bat, versus Aroldis Chapman, who ever since he's left the Yankees, he's turned into Sandy Koufax all of a sudden. When he was with the Yankees that final season, he couldn't even throw a strike to save his life. But a good solid at bat, lefty on lefty. You figure Chapman would have the advantage, but Bellinger hanging in there, hits a double off the wall just to get an extra insurance run for the Yankees. And again, the Yankees, Bednar able to come out and secure the second game by 5-3. So a lot of positives. You want to see that with the Yankees. Now, of course, the one blemish will be Will Warren start on the Sunday game where you're licking your chops a little bit. Man, maybe you got a sweep there. And Warren, obviously, we've seen this a couple times for him in the first inning, just get absolutely blasted. Happened in one game very early on in the season against Tampa. He gave like 4 runs that he yanked him out. When the Yankees were out there, the Saturday game against the Dodgers, same thing. He gave like 4 runs right away for some reason. I don't know what he gets shellacked. Same thing happened in Boston. Gave 5 runs before you know it. Now, to his credit, he did settle down a little bit, so the Yankees have to go build into it early and at least give the Yankees an opportunity to chip away with a couple of long balls. Again, that's kind of what the Yankees do, including another Judge home run to at least bring it with 6-4. And late in the game, had an opportunity with Judge on, Stanton out the plate there with an opportunity for one swing to maybe tie the game there, but unfortunately Stanton striking out on a called third strike, which he didn't like there. And again, the Yankees lose that final game to 6-4. But all things being considered, you would actually take that, just to get the 2 out of 3 against Fenway. Whereas a couple weeks ago, it looked like you didn't belong on the same field with the Red Sox, more or less. At least the Yankees hanging in there. Okay, yes, the Yankees still doing that thing with the home run ball. You like to see a little bit of small ball scoring runs, but nevertheless, at least you feel a little bit more confident in the Yankees than you did against the Red Sox. The only problem, though, with that final game is Toronto won Sunday as well, so Yankees dropped yet another game down the standings where they are now 4 games back. But now the good news is that, the Yankee show goes on the road, but it's a very now soft schedule the rest of the way. So the Yankees' bumpiness of the September, you had some tough series against both Toronto, then against Houston, then Detroit, Boston. So you had like 4 really solid series in a row there. And overall, you got to say the Yankees did well. They took 2 out of 3 against Houston, 2 out of 3 against Toronto, okay, they lost 2 out of 3 against Detroit, so you lost that series, but then you recover and take 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. So overall, 3 out of the 4 series, the Yankees came out ahead there. So you like to see that against good teams, good competition. So you don't have to hear that argument, well, you can only beat up on the lousy teams. And no, the Yankees won some series against some real legit good teams there. So you like that part. And the rest of the way now that it gets soft. So you got 3 games against Minnesota in Minnesota. Now, historically, over the past 25 years, the Yankees do very well against the Twins. And the Twins around the trade deadline, they got rid of Correa. They pretty much sold a lot of people. So, this should be a softer team. Now, we all know that obviously teams always want to be the spoiler, and it's the Yankees, and it gets a lot of attention. So, for a lot of younger players, this might be their moment, the attention. So, you might get the best out of them against the Yankees. That's a possibility. But overall, you like the Yankees' chances against the series. So, you got 3 games against Minnesota in Minnesota, 4 games against Baltimore in Baltimore. Then the Yankees come home. You like that the last final 2 series are at Yankee Stadium. So, every advantage possible right now for the Yankees to, if they had a small miracle to recapture the AL East, this is it in these last 13 games. Then they come home, you get 3 against the White Sox. You can't ask anything better than that. And then you finish the season against those same Baltimore Orioles. So there's still plenty of games where the Yankees can kind of inch their way back and make it interesting to see if they get the AL East title. It's looking less likely there. Now, as for Toronto, their remaining schedule, and the Yankees are going to need a lot of help from Tampa Bay. So does Tampa Bay want to play spoiler? I don't know. Do they want to lay down and let Toronto get the AL East title? Who knows? I mean, I don't think they really plan that stuff, but you never know. 7 of the last games of this season for Toronto is going to be against Tampa, so they got 4 in Tampa. Then after that, they go into Kansas City, which, again, is not the same Kansas City as last year. Then Toronto comes back home. Then they have a series against Boston, which is very interesting. So Boston, who's going to be, their opportunity to take the AL East is probably a little, obviously withered away there. But this obviously is still a good team. They're still going to be fighting for wild card positioning. So I think you'll get a good series between Toronto and Boston. So, that's an opportunity. If Boston could just get on a good win there, they could do the Yankees a big favor. I'm not sure they don't want to do the Yankees a big favor, but they could do the Yankees a big favor. And then Toronto after that, again, the final 3 games against Tampa. So 7 of those games are going to be Tampa. So the Yankees are going to need some help from their AL East foes. They need some help from Tampa. They need some help from Boston. And, of course, the Yankees have to take care of their own business. But, again, these are against teams that, obviously, the Yankees have owned Minnesota for the past 25 years. And Baltimore, they could be up and down. Obviously, they're not having a good season. But, they could always just be a thorn in the Yankees' side, and they could want to play spoiler. So, not saying it's a give me, but as, Boone punches the table, it isn't right in front of them. To at least have an opportunity. Now, 4 games back might be a little bit too much. I would feel a lot better if the Yankees were like 2 games behind the AL East. 4 games is kind of a lot, so you're going to have to ask Toronto to also take a bit of a nosedive, which I'm not sure they're going to do. But again, it is an opportunity for the Yankees to do that at the very least. But again, probably with each passing day as we go on, it's more than likely the Yankees are probably going to have to settle for the top wild card spot, which not really you want there. Again, kind of limiting yourself to really no mistakes, if that's the case there. But we'll just see where the chips will fall. And as for Will Warren, again, he's not somebody you're going to consider, to start a postseason game. So a lot of people say, well, that goes with postseason chances, and maybe he won't even be on the roster. I don't know. Man, you're not going to ask him to start a postseason game. Why would you? You got you guys lined up if we get to that point. And Will Warren, more or less, was going to be maybe a long relief guy like that. So we kind of featured him a little bit on the most recent YouTube episode, 11 starts he had after that July 2nd blow up, where he kind of had his worst start of his career. He had been a little better. He had pitched to a 3.18 ERA, so he was been throwing the ball better lately. But again, unfortunately, Fenway, another blow up for him. But the bigger thing is that, the Yankees right now, the last 13 games, have an excellent opportunity to go on a little bit run here. And you see some guys get heating up a little bit, especially Judge now with the long ball. So get him going good just right before the playoffs. That's where you want to be. So you just want to stay away from any sort of major injuries, which so far the Yankees, knock on wood, pretty much have been there. And they just got to kind of still find themselves, line up that bullpen, get it ready, at least Duvall, maybe want to take away some silver lining in the Sunday game. Duvall having an appearance with 2 strikeouts there. Again, in not a place that's easy to pitch there, in a hostile territory, in a hostile situation, you would say there. But you want to get Duvall going. Bednar, obviously, he's so far really good, so you don't worry about him right now. But you really want to get Duvall. Of course, Luke Weaver on track 2, and Devin Williams. Obviously, what's going to happen, even though I don't think you should put him as well. Yeah, Boone put him in the Saturday game. He did get out in a big spot, and it's not an easy place to pitch, so I'll give him some credit there. But, they're going to try to work Devin Williams to get him up and running. So those are the 4 guys you kind of want to get straightened out. So, see them in spots, just get warmed up and get their stuff together, get their head in the game. Obviously, between Duvall and Devin Williams, who knows who's better there? I'd rather have Duvall pitching high-leverage situations than Devin Williams there. So I would like to rather get him on track and not give too many opportunities to Devin Williams, because he's gotten opportunities all season, and he's pretty much choked on most of them there. So that's the episode. Yankees now 4 games back of the AL East. It's an opportunity to come back. It's not impossible, but again, right now seeming unlikely. But we'll catch you next time.